Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to give you 5 very important tips for if you're buying a condo. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is Hassan. I make educational real estate content to help you in your real estate journey. I also make videos to help you make your move in and around Vancouver. Real quick, before we get started, if you want to talk about real estate with me one-on-one, you can book a call with me in the Calendly link. It's right at the top of the description. Book a call with me and let's chat. All right, so the tips that I'm going to share with you today, they're not going to be your typical get pre-approved, find a mortgage broker, find a realtor that you can find anywhere online. These are going to be valuable tips that are more oriented towards once you've made a conscious decision to purchase a condo, what you need to do when you're actually moving into that condo. So the first tip, and this is probably the most important, I'm not saving the best for last, you need to make sure that you have your condo insurance policy in place for your completion date. Now, when you purchase a condo, there's going to be 2 dates. The completion is when you pay the money, and possession date is when you actually get the key. And sometimes there is a gap in between these dates. You may have 1, 2, 3 days, or even a week in between these 2 dates. Your policy needs to commence as at the completion date, the day you pay the money, because that's when you're responsible for it. So number 1, you need to make sure you have your condo insurance policy in place. But number 2, equally important, is you need to take the date of when that expires, the renewal, it's usually an annual policy, and put that into your Google Calendar so it reminds you every year. Because obviously you need to renew it, but the other thing is you may need a different level of coverage at that renewal mark. So every year you want to renew that condo policy and make sure that you have enough coverage to cover your deductible for the building. I won't get too into it in this conversation, but what you need to know again is make sure you have your condo insurance policy in place, make sure you know the renewal date, and make sure at renewal you're reviewing to make sure you have ample coverage. All right, so the second tip I want to give you is to make sure that you fully read the bylaws and the rules. Now, when you're purchasing a building, oftentimes you're going to do this in the subject removal process before agreeing to purchase that property. But what I find with a lot of my clients is when it comes to the bylaws and the rules, they're more concerned with a couple things. They may be concerned with, can I bring my dog, my pets here to this building? What are the pet restrictions? Or in the past, there would be a lot of talk about rental restrictions. Can I rent this unit out in the future? Can I have can I have a barbecue on the patio? Things like that. Very specific type of instances that buyers were looking at before they gave a green light. Now that you're actually moving in, you've committed to this property. If you haven't already read the bylaws and rules fully, you want to do that immediately because you want to make sure obviously that you are adhering to those rules and bylaws so you don't get hit with any fines. You know exactly what's allowed in the building and what isn't allowed in the building. Also, between the time of your accepted offer and actually moving in, there could have been some changes to the bylaws. Now, typically the seller is supposed to notify you of this in most instances by sending you those notices. You may not have received them, etc. So in your first couple of days of moving into your condo, sit down, read the bylaws. If you have any questions, you can reach out to your Strata manager and they can answer your questions. All right, the third tip that I want to give you is to get a home inspection done. Now, again, in the due diligence process, you may have got a home inspection before you committed to the property. But what I find, especially with condos and especially in hotter markets, a lot of people forego that inspection because when you're buying a building, you do get access to the documents. For example, a depreciation report shows you the health of the physical building. You have financial reports that show you the financial health of the building. So you're able to do more due diligence without doing an inspection. I always recommend doing the inspection before purchase anyways, but if you didn't do it, get it done after the fact and truly have them focus on the things that you can do maintenance-wise to improve the longevity of, for example, the appliances in your building. If you have an AC, they can tell you how often you need to change the filter, what type of filter you need. All sorts of tips that a good home inspector can give you that if you, for example, like if you're a first-time buyer or perhaps you're moving out of the family home, you may not have been as involved in the maintenance of the home. They can kind of teach you how to be a homeowner. Again, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, they can teach you how to maintain the property and hold its value. All right, so the fourth tip I want to give you is to be proactive with your building. And what I mean by that is once you've moved into the building, as you're going around, if you notice any issues in the building, you want to report them to the strata manager or the property manager, and you don't want to turn a blind eye. For example, if you notice issues with the elevators, if you notice, this is more significant, but if you notice, for example, a leak of a pipe, say in a parkade that you don't think is affecting anyone, you'd be surprised how many people will see that and they'll just walk by and say, okay, it doesn't affect me, it's fine. But you have no idea the additional damage that can happen in these scenarios with an elevator. If you can nip it in the bud early, it saves a costly repair later on. So any of these sort of things, you want to treat this condo building as if it's your house. If you notice things that are needing fixing, needing repair, any sort of issues, do report them, because as you protect your building itself, you're protecting your unit and you're protecting your unit's value. All right, and the last tip that I want to give you is to get involved with your strata councils, your strata meetings. And the reason I suggest this is there's so much that goes on at these strata meetings, and by joining council, you can have more of a hand on what happens with the building. Very significant changes can occur at these sort of meetings, and you want to be involved, you want to be kept up to date with them, and also so your voice is heard. I'm going to give you an example. So recently the BC provincial government, they got rid of rental restrictions, but one of the things they didn't get rid of are age restrictions above 55 plus. What's happening now in certain stratas across the province is they are converting or going through the process of converting into 55 plus buildings just to keep the tenants out. Now, if you don't get involved in your strata council or your strata meetings, go to the annual meetings, the special general meetings, the AGMs, you may not know that this is happening. And if that were to happen to your building and it becomes a 55 plus, for example, without you knowing about it, your value of your unit diminishes significantly. So you want to be involved, you want to know what's going on, you want to read all of the minutes that come. Now, something like that, a bylaw change, for example, where you're changing the age, it requires a 3/4 vote, but you want to be involved in that process. If there's ever a voting process to come up, it'll happen in what's called an SGM or an AGM. You'll get a notice in the mail. If you can't attend for whatever reason, you can vote via proxy. So you can fill out a card, give it to a neighbor that you trust, have them go and vote on your behalf, but make sure that your voice is being heard, because as a condo owner now, you're now part of this, likely a large strata corporation if it's a high rise, for example, or a smaller corporation, but you're part of an organization now that's making joint decisions that are affecting your unit specifically. So get involved with the strata corporation by going to the meetings. I suggest even joining strata council. It does take time out of your day, and you do have to invest some time into it, but I do think the return, not just in the form of knowledge, but in the form of having some level of control over the decisions that are being made in your building, are worth it. So there you have it, guys. Those are the 5 tips for condo purchasers. If you got any value out of this video or you enjoyed it, if you could hit the like button and consider subscribing, what that does is it takes this video and it sends it out to more people so they can also learn from it. If you're in the Vancouver area and you want to chat about real estate, again, you can book a call with me in the description box below. But outside of that, thank you guys so much for watching and have a wonderful day.